A Majority Report. Sam will be with you shortly.
From a 610 area code. Who's this? Where are you calling from?
Hello, Sam. Mike from Pennsylvania. How are you?
Mike from Pennsylvania. How are you?
Not great. Not great. Just wanted to talk to you a little bit about one of the most disheartening pieces of news came out yesterday, which was Larry Summers was one of the chief economic advisors for Joe Biden on how we're going to recover from coronavirus.
Yeah.
And I'm having a hard time. I haven't fully gone Bernie or bust, but I'm like 90% of the way there right now because of just how poorly the Joe Biden campaign has reacted to progressive concerns and floating stuff like Bloomberg's people are bidding to take over his campaign and the Democratic Party to push it in a more Bloombergian direction.
Correct.
Larry Summers being hired as a chief economic advisor, and my own experiences in 2018 with, my race that I ran here in Pennsylvania, other races in Pennsylvania where the Democratic Party intervened to support Republicans. Same thing that happened to Ben Jealous in his governor's race in Maryland. And, Nancy Pelosi swinging by the Henry Cuellar's district with 7 days to go, ended up defeating Jessica Cisneros by 1%. It kind of seems like they want to lose / want to get rid of progressives. And frankly, I am concerned that if Joe Biden wins, it's not just that we might have a short-term harm reduction defeating Trump, but a long-term defeat of progressivism within the Democratic Party. And, I'm having a hard time struggling with the despair of that knowledge.
Well, I mean, you had me up until literally the last sentence. Like, why does Joe Biden winning, why does that harm the progressive movement?
Now, Sam, I don't know if you remember, but a couple years ago when, we were talking about the DNC chair and Keith Ellison was running.
Right.
And Barack Obama did his little preview of what he did for Joe Biden.
Right.
Where it looked like Keith Ellison and the Bernie Sanders campaign, Bernie people were going to take over the National Democratic Party. It was pretty much in the bag. And at the last second, Barack Obama stepped in off the sidelines and induced Tom Perez to run, and then whipped the national DNC to win for Tom Perez, a narrow victory, right?
Right.
Remember that?
Right.
And the thing about this is it's not just the reason why I am leaning towards Bernie or bust is, the vote blue no matter who is only one way. It's never the other way. As you saw in the Labor Party across the pond with Jim Messina, Barack Obama's 2012 campaign manager, went across the pond to run the Conservative Party's campaign efforts against Jeremy Corbyn, while the right-wingers in the Labor Party itself, inside the internal party, were sabotaging their own side to lose to the Conservatives. It's like, I understand the harm reduction. I understand the idea that we don't want real people to be harmed. I've knocked thousands of doors. I've seen those people. I am very conflicted. But the truth is, if we really believe this is a two-party system, if we really believe that the only way to get change is through the Democratic Party, how can we deliver it into the arms of the people that hate us and want to destroy us at a higher priority than even defeating Republicans? And truthfully, Larry Summers is probably one of the worst people in America.
Well, I mean, I can think of some, I can think of some worse ones right now, to be honest with you. I mean, I'm not going to defend Larry Summers. I've spent a long time, of a portion of my career critiquing him and the decisions that were made under Obama. But you're asking me, really the fundamental question is, giving Joe Biden, are you giving up the apparatus of the Democratic Party forever? And my answer to that is no, I don't think so.
Well,
And
I don't
let
know
me,
about
well, wait
forever,
a
you
second,
know,
Mike,
forever.
Mike, let me just respond.
Go
You've
ahead.
just had 5
Yeah.
minutes of a
Yeah,
of a
sorry.
monologue. I mean, I get it. I get it. And I don't know. I mean, it's not a perfect, vote blue no matter who. They, I don't know if they would have voted for Bernie Sanders had Bernie Sanders won in the election, but let's just assume that they wouldn't. Okay, just for the sake of argument. That doesn't implicate the fact that these people are horrible does
Mhm.
not implicate this decision of mine
It-
because they're not horrible in a vacuum. As Doug Henwood wrote on his Facebook page, this is a forced binary situation. The fact of the matter is there are going to be tens upon tens of thousands of people in this country who are going to die because of the way that Donald Trump has operated this government. Okay. I mean, I'm sorry, that's just a fact.
Sam, I want to agree with you, but tens of thousands of people are going to die because of the way that Joe Biden promises to operate the government.
Well,
And you're
listen, we
telling
don't know that
marginalized people
you're
that they're
you're
worth
arguing a
exactly
hypothetical.
this
I'm sorry.
thing.
It's just not the case. Dude, you just can't make the argument. You if you can make the argument to me that people are going to be better off and that under Donald Trump than Joe Biden, then make that case. But if you're going to tell me that you have the ability to see in the future and that electing Joe Biden is going to, cause this to happen and it's going to keep this person from winning in the future, and that it's going to, that you have the ability to see 4 or 5, years ahead and what's going to happen. I don't accept that premise. I was told that that Donald Trump was going to bring about Elizabeth Warren's victory by Jimmy Dore told me that.
Yeah, well, so that's the problem there, Sam, is like, I agree with you. In 2016, I did my sheepdog duty of telling progressive people and socialists, you got to vote for Hillary Clinton. Supreme Court is at stake, blah, 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 blah. And the truth is, it didn't work. And so the reason why I'm struggling with Bernie or bust is not because I think Donald Trump himself is better than Joe Biden in the next 4 years. It's because I don't see anything happening from the Joe Biden people or the centrist Democrats to reckon with the existential crises we face.
I agree with that. I agree with
and
that.
so-
But
so
nevertheless, there's no doubt in my mind that Joe Biden would not have left us as vulnerable to this pandemic as Donald Trump has. There's no doubt in my mind that there'd be more leverage from the Democrats than to give $4 trillion. We didn't need Larry Summers to do that. Now,
so
at least there would be an argument about it, but this happened in about 30 seconds. So
Well,
just
let's
listen.
talk about
Mike.
what people like me and Brianna Joy Gray are saying is not Donald Trump is good. No, what we're saying is the progressive wing of the party did the bend the knee, go all in for Hillary Clinton in 2016, and the result was defeat because there wasn't sufficient.
Bree voted for the
movement.
green candidate, but regardless.
Well, okay, sure. What in New York? Who cares? But the point is that this didn't happen. It didn't work, and here we are again. And what's happening? They're floating Larry Summers as their advisor.
But wait a second. But
I mean, I
but
can't
Michael,
think of a
tell me
more
what I don't
face-to-face
even understand what the argument you're making. You're saying that it's going to be better for Joe Biden. Joe Biden's going to have a better chance of winning if you don't support Joe Biden. I don't understand what the argument you're making is.
Okay. What I'm saying is my support and the support of progressives must be contingent on real fucking changes. The reason why we do not receive any of the concessions we want is because there's no belief that we're actually at risk. It's a hostage situation where, well, we don't.
What
need to
makes
cater
you
to
think
the
that they
progressives, 'cause what are they going to do?
Wait a second. What makes you think they give a shit? Like you're
Okay,
playing
well, if
this
they don't
card,
give a shit,
but
then
wait a
it's all
second.
the more-
No, but Mike,
all the more
Mike,
necessary
you're
that the
playing
party
this
die.
card. You're playing. You think you have a wild card, and you don't. That's the problem. That's been the
think I
problem with
do.
the
I
left
mean-
in this country throughout this entire campaign. They thought they had something and they didn't.
That's
They
the
did
reason
not. They
didn't.
do.
It's because of the people that were empowered.
Hey,
in
dude.
2008
Hey.
have taken
Bernie
hold of the
Sanders
party.
had hundreds of millions of dollars. Where were the other votes that were going to come? That I kept being told that the working class is going to come out if they're being offered something. There wasn't a damn thing that Bernie Sanders did not offer. The left is overestimating their power. So you can withhold whatever you want from Joe Biden, but we just see it with the Cobra stuff, right? They're willing to pour money, just burn money to avoid doing Medicare for all. So you can say that you're going to leverage Joe Biden. And look, if it's just a tactic before the election, fine. And, great. But the fact of the matter is, and it's a bluff. It's a bluff. But the fact of the matter is, Mike, it's not going to, that's not going to happen. We have a choice. It's going to be Joe Biden or it's going to be Donald Trump.
Yeah, but Sam, parties, it's a party. It's a campaign. It's not just one man. Like, who he puts around him is the
Mike? Are you there? Hold on. I lost my connection. That's weird.
I'll just point out Cornel West's position on this, which is that, he grants that Biden is better than Trump. And then he says, I'm not going to change that fact from how he presents the truth of our situation. And
I'm not saying that anybody shouldn't criticize Joe Biden.
Exactly. Like, I think the problem is, like, if is this about how you present to an audience, or is this about a voting strategy? Because I don't think the Bernie or bust voting strategy is any more rational than it is this time. If people want to if people articulate it differently this time around, I think it's fine, but I don't know. Like, I think you by focusing so much on what the election day decision is, you're getting lost in you're not doing the actual work. It's not all about what you do on election day.
Yes, I mean, that's the thing, is that I have Mike. Stay on the line, Mike.
Sam will be with you shortly.
Okay.
Mike, you there? Stay right there, Mike. Mike, you there?
Yeah, are you here?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Did I lose you?
Yeah, I for some reason I get disconnected. I have a feeling because my daughter's doing TikToks downstairs. Look, what you. So I mean, look, if you want to tell me that we should be criticizing, we should be pushing Joe Biden, but like the disparate number of people saying, here are my demands of Joe Biden, I'm sorry, it's just not going to work. Like, if you want to organize around a campaign that says, like, no Larry Summers, advising Joe Biden, I'm there. I'm not of the camp that criticism of Joe Biden at this point is aiding and abetting Donald Trump. I'm sorry. There is no voter out there who's going to say, like, there's no voter who is up for grabs who's going to say, like, I was thinking Biden until Larry Summers showed up. That's not happening. And so I'm perfectly willing to, encourage, entertain, and promote a protesting or a push to get rid of Larry Summers. I'm all in on that. But the idea that it's like you're going to withhold your vote from Joe Biden, you know what? Like, I mean, you might as well tell me that you're going to go take a hammer and smash your fingers. Like, okay.
Well, I mean,
or even better, you might as well tell me that you're going to take a hammer and smash the fingers of the people that you purportedly want to help.
Okay, so let me just respond to you by saying, Lieutenant Governor John Fetterman of Pennsylvania, progressive candidate who won statewide here in Pennsylvania, said to the nation last week, they really underestimate how popular Donald Trump is in Pennsylvania. And the only way to win is to have the Biden campaign do a sustained, significant, and sincere outreach to progressives. Now, hey, maybe John Fetterman is stupid. Maybe all the people here in Pennsylvania, when we say Joe Biden right now is unacceptable and will lose with his current platform and the people around him. And we're begging you, not for my sake, this is not just politics of moral witness. This is practical electoral advice. If he goes through with this path, we will lose. At this point in 2016, Hillary Clinton was up by 15 points in Pennsylvania. Okay? So let's not pretend that Joe Biden is going to be able to hide in his Delaware basement for the entire year and he's going to win Pennsylvania and Michigan. And this is necessary. And as much as I love you, like, progressives need more of a united front when we're like, listen, Joe, you can't nominate a conservative vice president and have Larry Summers, or you're going to get destroyed.
I listen, I'm not sure if I believe that he's going to get destroyed or not, but I think it definitely hurts his chances. Yes, I agree. But it doesn't make any sense for me to say that and say, I'm not going to vote for you, because what's my agenda? If my argument is you need to do this so that you win, but also I'm not going to vote for you, well, that's incoherent.
No, I will. Listen, I'll ignore all of the criminal things to help the vulnerable people. I will ignore Burisma. I will ignore the sexual assault allegations, because ultimately I do believe that the people that are harmed more by Trump is a worthy moral thing. I'll take the moral stain of voting for an evil person like Joe Biden if it means reducing harm. I'm comfortable with that. But at the same time, I look at the structure of the Democratic Party, both nationally and statewide, who Joe Biden represents, and what's being offered in response to existential crises. And I'm saying it's not just, you could call me an avatar of all those people that won't vote and won't turn out quietly, that are not engaged with the Democratic Party's processes. We need something, because I don't hold political.
But where were these people? Where were these people? Listen, I think you and I are in agreement if you're willing to take that moral stain, because I am too. And I certainly am worried that what Joe Biden is doing is not sufficient. Believe me, the best thing I can say about it is that, like, it's vaguely coherent strategy. I don't think it's the right one, but it's consistent. But I'm not convinced. But like, who are we talking about? Are we talking about progressives? Wait, let me finish it. Are we talking about progressives or the people that progressive purport to help? Because progressives are not the people that you're talking about, for the large part, do not identify as progressives. They don't
Correct.
identify as anything. And I don't know, we just had an experiment as to whether those people can be brought out and motivated to vote. And did they?
Okay, so there's multiple different countervailing forces going on at the same time. Like, if you're going to do science, you have to look at the data in a holistic way and cancel out the variables that were also swinging. We had, as you predicted in 2016, which is why I strongly supported Hillary at the time, was if Trump gets elected, our politics will be annihilated into nothing but blue, no matter who, and the horizon of progressive change will be demolished because of the necessity of getting Trump out.
Yes.
Which is exactly what happened. And it's not that people didn't support Bernie Sanders' policies. It's not that young people didn't turn out. They did. They turned out higher than they did in 2016 by a significant margin. It's just that a lot of people, especially older people, in a primary, remember, this is not the general. Most people don't participate in primaries. It's a tiny subset of the population, 30%, 40%, even in presidential years at the most. So you are telling me that the most disengaged people politically are going to even know what a primary is and come out and vote in the caucus? Like, that was always the challenge. But in fact, they did. The problem was the more engaged voters, the upper class, the older, the suburbanites, they turned out in an unbelievable rate as well. And it's not that they didn't approve of Bernie Sanders' policies. If you look at all the polls state by state, they in fact did.
Right.
They just went along with the media narrative created by the institutions of the Democratic Party, led by Barack Obama and the media apparatus surrounding the institutional party, to say that Joe Biden was the, quote, safe choice And the number one controlling feature of Democratic primary voters
I
is
know.
negative partisanship,
I covered this.
defeating
Mike.
Republicans.
I know.
So,
I
like,
get this.
ultimately, your argument, it doesn't deal with the reality of if Bernie Sanders won, he would be in a better or the same position as Joe Biden with totally radically different policies.
I agree. I
I know
agree.
you do. So why'd you ask me that question?
Well, I'm just saying the point being that like we can't vote for a hypothetical.
Okay. Yeah, no, you're right, but he's got a VP pick. We have people that are unacceptable.
Listen,
if we come
Michael,
together, like AOC
Mike,
says, and
if
says,
we had
AOC
started
says,
this conversation
hey,
with, we need to agitate for a progressive vice president pick. If we need to agitate and get and push back on Larry Summers, I'm there with you. I agree.
and what's the best way to push back? The only thing we have of any leverage at all is say, hey, you do this, I'm staying home, or I don't care, I'm voting down ballots. And maybe they won't care.
I don't know. I think the best way, to be honest, has more to do with pushing those people whose ear we have, right? So it's like it is the self-identity
strategy.
Well, it's not necessarily inside strategy, but if if Warren and Bernie and the Progressive Caucus, if they feel the pressure and they start to have to speak out loud, then if you want to call that the inside strategy, I mean, I don't think I have access to the inside, but
but you did, Sam.
But I mean, I think me too. But I think like that's the way that I would see this is, to basically say like over what different things are we going to take our ball and walk away from? Like, is it if every advisor is not, the person that we like, we're not going to vote for him. I mean, at one point it's just like, okay, well, look, there's no way. I mean, the rational response for them is, there's no way we're going to satisfy all their demands. Let's actually put our resources into trying to get the Republican voters in the suburbs. Now, that's not my assessment.
Good strategy.
Well, I'm not saying that's a good strategy, but it's not an irrational response on their part based upon what their understanding of things are.
Can I give a quick analogy? Like AOC once was said during the last year that in any rational system, she wouldn't be in the same party as Joe Biden.
Correct.
And what happens in a parliamentary system when when neither party is the majority party and they need to form coalition to take government is they say, hey, we don't agree with, say, the Green Party on everything, but you know what? We're willing to give the Green Party stuff they care about. The environmental minister is going to be a Green Party official. This thing they really care about is going to be a Green Party official. And then we're going to come together and form, say, a comprehensive platform of agreed upon legislative initiatives that we're going to push jointly, almost like in a convention, you could say. And then they make these concessions, and then ultimately the leaders of the Green Party, or you could say the progressive movement, say, these are good concessions. I support Joe Biden because of this. And as I said, I'm not doing this out of.
Well, wait a second, Mike. Where's the analogy?
The analogy is they've got to give progressive leaders, like instead of Larry Summers.
No,
how about somebody else?
You didn't give an analogy because you just explained to me how a parliamentary system works. But where's the analogy?
The analogy is the same thing that must be done here. Appoint members of the progressive movement into senior positions of the Biden campaign.
But they need to do that there. They need to do that there. And it works that way because they need a coalition government because it's a parliamentary system. Where's the analogy?
The analogy, because it's an analogy because they don't need it here, but in fact, they do need it electorally. So in order to bring those people along, by conceding these positions in the cabinet, by giving up real things, then it would be quite easy to advocate for joining the Vote Blue no matter who team.
So
and
wait a second. Okay, we're back to where we were. Give me the profile of the person who's out there going like, Larry Summers, that's not going to work. Where's Jared Bernstein? Larry Summers, that's not going to work. What about Dean Baker? Or Larry Summers, that's not going to work. What about Marshall Steinbaum? What's the profile of that voter who is making that assessment?
Sam, I just explained it. I mean, it's John Fetterman, it's Jonathan Smucker, head of Lancaster Stands Up. It's all these progressive organizations that are around Pennsylvania, say in the movement like Make the Road. All these different organizations, Reclaim Philadelphia, that have real grassroots connections to the community, that win votes, who do bring new people out. When they won for example, Working Families Party won a city council seat as a third party here in Philadelphia. When they elected Larry Krasner as the progressive DA in Philadelphia. You're telling me that these people don't exist, but I'm telling you they do exist, and they're vital, especially in a marginal race like in Pennsylvania, which will come down to a couple points. There are a number of people that are activists. And then by having those people, Sam, they'll also deliver policy outcomes that you can go out there and make the case.
So we're back to where I was saying before. I mean, is that Fetterman saying that? Is that the inside game?
Well, I hope. I mean, that's part of the inside
That's
game,
Fetterman
but there has to also be like
that's Fetterman,
backup
saying that, like, and again, I have no problem with that. I mean, I am openly doing that.
Well, are we though? I mean, I know the Prospect just put out a do not appoint list. Like, I know these are, I can feel the scoff because I'm scoffing. This is sad. This is what defeat tastes like ashes.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to do something that keeps me from just going full nihilism, because, the climate plan, I look at Joe Biden and I realize, do the math, the planet's finished. Like, that is the kind of
do what you need to do to go from to keep yourself from going full nihilism. I agree. And then do what you need to do to get Joe Biden elected over Trump, because it is the best chance that we have of pursuing any type of policies. We have to go back 4 years to where we were when we have an opponent for against progressivism, where the calculation by people who are watching it is one that does not involve being stuck with Donald Trump again. I mean, that's just the bottom line, is that people are afraid to lose what they have. And so that's why they voted. That's why you could go in there and have 65% agreement with Bernie Sanders on the issues, but the priority for voting was beating Donald Trump. And yes, they listened to the politicians as to who had the best chance to beat Donald Trump. And they listened to the media. I mean, the media was trying to push this for months, but it wasn't until essentially the politicians came in and announced to everybody that this is the case, which is a perfectly rational reaction for, your average voter to have. Like, I don't know who's going to beat Donald Trump. They must. I mean, yes, I get it. I mean, I share the frustration, but I also think it was fairly predictable and on some level. And
well, not the coordination. That was incredible. That was an unpredictable move. Hats off to Obama. Really,
I mean, right. Imagine if Biden was 2 years younger, though. It wouldn't have been even close. Like,
I mean, I don't
everybody,
know.
everybody had to wait. Everybody had to wait on that because everybody, people were like, Joe Biden's not going to be able to make it. Still may not.
Well, I think a lot of the reasons, I think the problem with Bernie Sanders is exactly what Rachel Bittkoffer said to you, which is people are acting in a negative partisanship model. And if you're running in a primary and you don't call yourself a Democrat for the Democratic primary, that's where all the true blue people are voting. That's going to be a strike against you.
Yep. Agree.
That doesn't help you.
Agree.
Even if they agree with you on everything, which is maybe why like somebody like AOC is actually making the intelligent move.
Agree.
And so like ultimately, Sam, like it's a difficult position because I look at this stuff and I see a Democratic Party that is in fact not changing. It's actually getting worse. This is and to go to my followers, the few that I have, and say, hey, vote blue, that's going to be harm reduction. When I see what happened in 2008, what in fact it was harm maximization, because immediately Barack Obama won and then lost power. They redistricted, gerrymandered all those state legislative seats. We spent the next 6 years the lame duck president, and ultimately was delivered in the hands of Donald Trump. I know we can't be future Andys here and just predict everything that's going to happen. But I shudder to think about the political world we'll live in. Even if a Joe Biden wins, how are we going to take the Senate in 2022?
Listen, I get it. I get it. I get it.
What's gonna happen
But
to
here,
the
how about
Democratic
this?
Party in the long run?
How about this? You Donald Trump for 4 years, and then who is it? The best we can hope for is Pete Buttigieg. Like the bottom line
Well,
is
it
the
won't
left
be, it
does
won't be it won't be vote blue no matter who, because it'll be an open seat.
the,
So you
the
can't say you got to vote against Trump. It'll just be vote against what? They can't use that bludgeon anymore. I mean, like again, this
Tom
is all
Cotton,
so speculative
whatever.
at this point, but
all right. I appreciate the call, Mike. I mean, I get
fun call, man.
All right. I think so. Bye-bye.
See you, bud.
Okay. I mean, yeah, I get it. We got a lot of people on the line. We'll get there in just a sec. Here is a, let's just go, let's play this clip. I'm still sort of just amazed at this, how we have no one in the administration who could speak up against the guy who wants to bleach your lungs. Here is a